It's that sometimes it's awful and it's brutal and it's repressive and that's wrong, and sometimes it's just a case of the individual choosing to follow a certain religion in the same way they can follow other religions, and it's not forced on them. Now, to say like this massive imagined threat that Islam's going to take over everything and we have to stop it, but what is he really getting at here? Does he have a problem with Islamic terror? Does he have a problem with just Muslims who don't really affect anybody? What's his problem? Ultimately, what is the problem here? Don't stand up for brutal Islam-based repressive regimes. Why the fuck would I? Why would anybody? Oh, God.
Tra-la-la-la-la. It's such an unfortunate mental condition, it's hard not to sympathise, but luckily not impossible.
It's nice to know he is capable of sympathy in some way then. At least, finally, some form of, like, human emotion.
So you could start by telling them bluntly that Islam is unwelcome in the West because Muslims have made it unwelcome and because progressive PC dipshits like them have helped them do it. You could add that Islam is a serious threat to everyone's freedom, especially if they're female or Jewish or gay, and that it has brought absolutely nothing of value to Western society. All it has done is take and complain and cause trouble, and it has made us less tolerant, less civilized, less safe, and less free.
Yeah, Islam, you person. All you do is take, and you never give, is it? Selfish bastard. How do you possibly know whether Islam in the West has contributed or has taken from society? How the fuck do you actually clarify a statement like that? How can you get to the bottom of whether or not that's true? If he can tell me what he means, then fine. Now, when he says, like, is this massive threat to women and to gays, etc., well, in what way is it? Think about this. Like, is someone campaigning out there that we change all our laws so that it's based on interpretations of Islam in the West? Is that going on in any kind of serious way? Are there lobbying groups out there that are doing this in Parliament? Is this what's happening? Because I haven't actually heard of anything, I haven't seen anything that would really call for the alarm of, oh my God, Islam is going to take over absolutely everything, and that's what they want, and and they contribute nothing, they're just terrible, etc. Some of them follow a horrible interpretation of it. Others, the majority, are, although in my opinion, they're wrong to follow a religion. It's up to them what they want to do if it doesn't affect me. The same with Christianity. This massive threat, where is it coming from? What is he basing it on? Can he tell me?
And that if our society is to survive with its core values intact, freedom of speech, freedom of identity, and lots of other essential, healthy, civilized freedoms, then Islam needs to be vigorously and specifically legislated out of all public influence in all Western countries permanently, for the sake of tolerance and diversity and respect. Oh, and don't forget to mention that the fraudulent propaganda term Islamophobia is not a real word. It represents no phenomenon of any significance, and anyone using it is a traitor to humanity.
Islamophobia is not a real word. He must be an expert on semantics then. I suppose the thing is, you can't really make that kind of statement when you've just sort of shown why Islamophobia does exist, in terms of all of these harsh and rash judgments that you're saying, because you're not basing it on the actions of the individuals that follow the religion necessarily. You're basing it on the idea that Islam is inherently bad, no matter who's a part of it. So to say this, Islamophobia doesn't exist, you're essentially showing that it does exist simultaneously, which is the stupidest way to make this fucking point. If this is your point, this is not the way to make it. Now, you can't really argue that some people are discriminated against based on these kinds of things, based on Islam or based on race. Some people are. Human beings are, this is the way that human beings are actually sort of wired, really. So the idea that it doesn't exist, it does exist. Is it a massive problem? You would have to ask the people who are suffering from it. It's not me. But if you ask them, then you might find out whether or not this is a problem. Now, the idea that here is that it's just propaganda tool of the left, and it's just used to shut people like this up. Well, the best way he could actually sort of stand up for himself, surely, and prove that it doesn't exist, is by trying to be more tolerant of other people. You not understand this. Now, tolerance doesn't mean accepting horrible, stupid things and terrorism and, you know, shitty laws based on religion. But in terms of, like, is that what they're asking for? I don't know. Has he ever talked to a Muslim? Yeah, and does he know any? I'd be hugely surprised. Islam is used within media propaganda both negatively and positively, is the reality. So if you look at where he's getting his information from, which is this sort of Daily Mail wailing, you know, they're coming for us, etc. Well, a lot of that is just exaggeration and focusing on these kinds of things. Look at the way that Abu Hamza was fucking, you know, they went on about that endlessly, and it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, what can you say about that? If you were Muslim, wouldn't that piss you off a little bit? To think that everybody, you know, like this now associates you with that kind of bullshit. You think about it, that is propaganda at work. Islam has become the face of terrorism recently, ever since 9/11, and before that, obviously, we had the IRA, and in America there are different things. But you have to be very careful when you start going on about what isn't propaganda, because propaganda goes both ways. You know, it's both left and right, and propaganda itself is not always a bad thing. It's the other thing. It can be useful. Look at World War II. It's used as a way to, the British side and Americans, used as a way to mobilise people.
That should just about do it. Now, of course, if you say these things, you will instantly bring down a torrent of slanderous abuse on your head, but relax, that's part and parcel of dealing with progressives. You'll quickly find out that abuse is all they've got, and when you think of the desperate culture of denial and the abject moral vacuum it's coming from, it's hard to imagine a higher compliment or a more spectacular endorsement. Thanks, progressives.
His logic is so absolutely bizarre, isn't it? So he thinks that he's done a good job if he manages to piss off somebody and they start to give him a torrent of slanderous abuse, and it's exactly what should be expected whenever you speak the truth. Right, I mean, does that make any fucking sense? Does that get you anywhere? Is it in any way useful to anybody? And it's one of the reasons that actually I made this video, is just because I'm not going to give him loads of abuse. I gave him a little bit because he is fair game, he's been very obnoxious, and a lot of what he's saying is just offensive. I mean, to come on so strong onto progressives, I mean, I could make a video as well saying, fuck all of these baby boomers, these saga holiday fucking grey-haired people. I don't really care about that, other than the fact they seem to really have it in for anybody who's progressive. Now, it's because they don't understand what progressives are. That's a large portion of it. But as well as that, they're not trying to. That's the sad thing. So, where can you go from here with people like this? I honestly don't know, is the reality. I don't think you can ever sort of reason and come to terms with this kind of logic. It's hell-bent on creating enemies based on their faulty reasoning. And I don't consider this guy an enemy. I wouldn't even say I hate him. Just because hate's a really strong fucking word, and you know, I reserve it for things that deserve it, quite frankly. So, you know, it wouldn't be a first port of call here. But what can you take away from what he's just said? How is there anything constructive here when your starting point is, if go and piss them off, because then it's going to somehow further my cause. Oh wait, it's not going to further my cause. Let's do it anyway. That is just abuse. That's just, you know, raining abuse on people for no fucking reason. And then you wonder why you get this aggressive reaction. If you talk to people and try and get along with them, you may not have this fucking problem, and people may actually listen to what you're trying to say. But when you're coming on like this and fucking going on and on and on and on and on, and this is exactly, you know, at this point they'll put their fingers in their ears, and at this point they'll start crying and all this kind of bullshit, and then they'll start telling you to shut the fuck up. In reality, you deserve to be told to shut the fuck up. Not by progressives, just by sane people. I know you make this distinction between the progressives and you know, everybody else and normies, shall we call them? But the reality is, you deserve it. If you're going to come on like this and just be purposely offensive and say things which aren't factually true, then what is the alternative for most people? I sat down and I've gone through pretty much everything that this guy said and explained where I think he's wrong. And if he wants to come back and show me where he's right, then fine. But I also made this video and I haven't got annoyed at him. Not because it isn't annoying, it is. But at the same time, I don't think I want to react like that. This progressive annoyed reaction. On a simple basis, well, what does it achieve? Then he feels, what, he gets his satisfaction that way? Is it some sort of strange masochistic thing that this guy's got going on? Where the more people hate you because what you say is wrong or offensive, the better you actually are. I mean, is he like fucking jacking off over this? Like, yeah, tell me how fucking wrong and bad I am, and it's all part of it. I can't understand. If you just simplify the logic down to this, if people tell me that I'm being offensive and that I'm wrong, then it just means they're liberal police, and it just means that they're the fucking PC brigade and they won't listen to what I've got to say. And therefore, it's right that I should say this, and I win by saying shit like this. How do you ever win by having people insult you? So there you have angry white middle-aged man with grey hair and glasses and a checked shirt getting annoyed at what he thinks are progressives. I can't actually remember his name right now. It's completely gone out of my head after sitting through all that. So I probably will include it either here or there or somewhere on the fucking screen at some point above the screen, in the box, whatever. You know, if you want to. If you've made it to this point, well done, actually. It's been quite a tough slog sitting through all that shit. But it's been fun. I've had fun, which is the most important part of anything in life, as long as I enjoy it. That's the most important part right there. So, thanks for watching, and if I ever make another one of these fucking videos, we'll see what happens. I've also got a blog about politics, which will be... I'll put a fucking link down there. So, yeah. Take care, and fuck people like this, but don't get too annoyed at them. They don't deserve it. Alright, bye.